S.A., do you have a problem with Jordan Poole's final shot?
I had a problem with the distance personally. It's not that he can't make that shot. I just thought that he was in position to get a better shot that was more in rhythm. But I certainly can't fault the rationale that both Steph Curry and Steve Kerr expressed. And that has to be taken into consideration. He can shoot. He's already hit 6 threes in this particular game. He had hit a 3 just a couple of minutes earlier, less than a couple of minutes earlier. So I got to give credit where credit is due in that regard. And I really appreciate the breakdown by Legs and all the others on Get Up this morning when they talked about how, and especially Jay Williams as well, when they talked about how, you know, Draymond Green and Poole, if they were at fault for anything, it was getting up the floor a little bit late, having Steph in a position where ultimately he was getting doubled and ultimately had to unleash the ball. They should have been a threat earlier and got up to, you know, got beyond half court a little bit sooner. Their spacing should have been better, by the way, as well. But in the end, in terms of the actual shot itself, it's not a huge problem with it because Poole can make that shot. He had made 6 threes earlier. But in the end, considering the space that he had available to him, he could have stepped into it a little bit better, set his feet a little bit better, so he'd have a better opportunity to make that shot. But that's nitpicking.
Yeah, I had no problem whatsoever with Jordan Poole's shot attempt. I think an important piece of this that I hope people understand is that there's a philosophy around fouling up 3. And generally speaking, every coach is different, but it's somewhere around the 6 to 8 second mark. You foul, you prevent the game-tying shot, and then you rely on your own free throw shooting to sort of close out the game. A lot of coaches do it. I'm not saying Darvin Ham was going to do it, but we've all been in that situation enough to know when you do get a clean look, 10 seconds or under, you got to take it. You may not have another opportunity to shoot a clean look. So that's the first point I want to make. The second point is he was open. You know, we've got the tracking data with Second Spectrum. When he caught the ball, the closest defender was 9 feet away. That was Jared Vanderbilt, who ended up closing out on him. Jordan Poole has made shots like this. We've seen him make 30-footers before. And given the type of game he was having, you have, like Steve Kerr said, you have to be happy with that shot attempt to tie the game.
I don't know if Bob Cousy would have taken that shot.
Here we go.
Oh, my
But
God.
I don't.
It's a Mad Dog Wednesday.
I'm basically with JJ on it. I mean, you can make an argument. He could quibble a few feet in. It is a long way. What's his percentage of making that? 31, 32%?
He's 32-ish overall.
Even from that distance,
season,
you want to add a little less percentage because he's a little further away than a normal three-point shot. But generally speaking, they got a good look at it. They made sure that Curry wasn't going to beat him. I can't go crazy. That's not why Golden State lost the game, because the shots flew too far. The Lakers were better last night. So I'm not going to go necessarily crazy on it. He had a good ball game.
Yeah. And you all kind of agree on it.
I mean, I think Steve's probably a little further out there than the two of us are, but I don't have a problem with the shot.
Stephen A., let me ask you this. I want to spin this forward. Are the Lakers unbeatable with this version of Anthony Davis?
I wouldn't say unbeatable. I mean, they wouldn't be unbeatable against Denver with this version of Anthony Davis. They wouldn't be unbeatable against Boston or Philadelphia with this version of Anthony Davis, because obviously Jokic and Embiid specifically would have something to say about that as well. I certainly don't believe that, but I think in this particular series, there's no question you're going to have a problem. Kevon Looney cannot guard Anthony Davis. We knew that coming into the game. We applaud him and his efforts, and he exceeds whatever talent he's perceived as having with his effort, his IQ, his commitment to excellence. 23 rebounds last night. You don't want to take anything away from Kevon Looney, but he is no Anthony Davis, and we keep forgetting our critique of Anthony Davis, so much so that Anthony Davis forgets it, JJ and Doggy, which is why I get disgusted with Anthony Davis. I can't stand when people mix up the criticism or the argument against him. No one has ever questioned the greatness of Anthony Davis. What we've said is his durability is questionable. The fact of the matter is that he's not always available because he's oft injured. That's it. When Anthony Davis is on the basketball court, everyone knows a healthy Anthony Davis is a top 7 player in the game of basketball. He's that big time. He's that big time. When I saw 30 and 22, all right, you want to point to the 23 rebounds? That was somewhat of an aberration, and I'll give you that. But 30 for Anthony Davis is something that he can do in his sleep when he is on the court healthy. It's automatic. This brother walked around, went healthy throughout his career, averaging about 28 and 12. You know, we know what Anthony Davis can do. And so when people talk about him and what he brings to the table, I would only say, look, you're talking about his durability, his availability. That is the knock against Anthony Davis. But from a skill perspective, him versus Kevon Looney, that's another stratosphere. Looney ain't even in his stratosphere, and we understand that. And Anthony Davis showed that last night. And the Golden State Warriors are going to have to come up with a remedy for that because they're not a big team, obviously. And Anthony Davis should own them this series. That doesn't mean it'll be enough to win the series, but obviously it will help immensely.
Are you more confident in New York or Miami now that the series is tied?
First off, the Knicks were very lucky to win last night. They got a lucky call. The ball grazed the rim. Should have been a Miami basket.
With like 7 minutes to go.
That was a big, it would have put him up. That would have given him an extra. Hey, these kind of games, that was a big call that went against Miami. Butler didn't play.
I have no recollection of that.
You have no recollection of that? Yes, you do.
I have no recollection of that whatsoever.
Yes, you do. The other kid had to leave for a few minutes, and the Knicks got excellent games. You can argue about Thompson all night. You're nuts. They got excellent games out of Hart, who made 2 big threes and played really well. Brunson, who had a tremendous game. And Randall and Barrett, who had 24 points and a great first quarter. So their 4 players and the other kid, the center, had an excellent game. Hartenstein played very well. All sorts of big shots. So when you think about it, the Knicks got excellent performances from a lot of their players last night and still almost lost. And Butler didn't play, and they got a lucky call to boot. And they also got another lucky call because I'm not sure if that should have been a 3-point shot and a foul with the 4-point play when he ran over Hartenstein setting that pick. So they got a couple of Hartenstein, who played really well. Yeah, yeah. He played well in the game. Played well in the game. Whatever his name is. But bottom line is, the Knicks had everything go right with those 4 guys and some calls and barely won. That's dangerous. Dangerous. Heat, baby.
Well, listen, that's nice for you to put it that way. I mean, that is one way to look at it. I mean, or you can look at it with the orange and blue skies, and we can see what it is, and we can see understand what's coming. You understand? I saw Jalen Brunson go 0 for 7 from 3 in Game 1. That certainly wasn't his issue last night. The brother showed up. I saw Julius Randle, who didn't play in Game 1, come back and still drop 25 for you. I saw R.J. Barrett shooting the ball effectively. I saw the Knicks outscore Miami 16-4 in clutch time and out-rebounded them like 9-1. That's what I saw. Now, that's what I saw. Now, I understand that Jimmy Butler wasn't there, and I understand that the chances would have improved exponentially for the Miami Heat to close the deal if Jimmy Butler was in that lineup. I get all of that. I like that clutch 3 by Josh Hart. I like the other clutch 3 by Jalen Brunson. I see what I'm seeing, you understand? And obviously, this series is going to be a long series, in my estimation anyway. I think that's what this comes down to. But what I was looking for from the Knicks was their ability to make shots, because they couldn't do it in Game 1. They make shots. This series is going to be exactly what I anticipate. I don't expect Jalen Brunson to shoot the way he shot in Game 1 for the rest of this series. I expect R.J. Barrett to continue to shoot the ball well. I expect Julius Randle to have an impact offensively, and I certainly expect Mitchell Robinson to have an impact defensively and in the rebounding department, and, of course, being an impediment on the front line in terms of blocking shots. That doesn't mean they're going to win every game. Miami coached exceptionally well by the great Eric Spoelstra, will have an answer here and there. So will Tom Thibodeau. He's no scrub in the coaching spot. But at the end of the day, we got our 1 victory. Now we go down to South Beach, and we take 1 from there. I predict this series goes 7-game. It will be nip and tuck back and forth, and luck may be involved. So damn what? I don't care. We'll take what we can get when we can get it. South Beach, here we come.
Let me say this, and I'm agreeing with Stephen A. here on the point about just winning a basketball game. It isn't about how you got it done. It's about that you got it done. And within a playoff series, whether it is injuries or people being out or someone having an off game or a defensive strategy shift, like, it's just about getting a win. So for me, I'm more confident in the Knicks, and not just because they won last night. I'm more confident because Julius Randle looked like Julius Randle, because Jalen Brunson continues to make adjustments within series like he did in the Cleveland series, because Josh Hart comes off the bench, starts, whatever it may be, the guy just stars in his role time after time. His play down the stretch was phenomenal last night. And then the big point for me is R.J. Barrett. He was a guy, I talked about this, Stephen A., we talked about this a couple weeks ago after the first 2 games in Cleveland in that round 1 series. He was not good. Last 5 games, he's been very good. He's averaging 23 a game over the last 5 games. To me, that's an added bonus. By the way, 23 a game on a high efficiency, which is something that he's not known for.
That's right.
And the last point I want to make on this is why I'm more confident in the Knicks. We don't know how effective Jimmy Butler can be. We don't know the severity of this ankle injury. Until we see him on the court being Jimmy Butler, I got to give the edge to the Knicks right now.
Couple of things to point out. Number one, R.J. Barrett is at 23 points a game, 52% shooting over the last 5 games. New York Knicks are 4-1 in that particular moment in time. Number 2, Doggy, you'll appreciate the stats because I know what a historian you are. The same Julius Randle that you're talking about, that you wanted to summarily dismiss because they were luck. 25, 12, and 8. 2 assists shy of the first New York Knicks triple-double in the postseason since Walt Clyde Frazier in 1972. Sleep on that if you want to. I'm not. In the end, I'd like to point out this last thing. Miami was held to 28% shooting at clutch time. That's the defense rising up to the occasion and making sure that they gotta sit up there and contest all of these shots, because Miami, I'm sitting there looking at them in game 1. I'm like, damn, everybody making shots, okay? I'm not used to seeing this from the Miami Heat. In clutch time last night, they returned back to the Miami Heat that we had seen during the regular season, a team that struggles shooting the 3-point shot. Not this team that has shown up in the playoffs that has been number 1 in points, number 1 in field goal percentage efficiency, number 1 in 3-point percentage efficiency. We're not accustomed to seeing that from Miami. They returned to normal last night. I predict they will return to normal in 4 of the 7 games in this series. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.